Hello, my viewers and subscribers. Today I'm going to review several Israeli vehicles such as Merkava Mk.2D tank, and I will try to make a review of the MD500 Lahatut helicopter, which according to the Google Translator means trickster in Hebrew. So I was one of the first players to buy Merkava when it was one of the two Israeli tanks in the game, and when it still had free respawns, because there were no other tanks, so you couldn't build a normal setup for Israel. This tank is remarkable for its survivability, and despite lack of traditional combined armor, it has a very interesting armor scheme of the turret, which is comprised of the small chambers or something like that, and it allows tank to absorb tank's turret to absorb a lot of damage, and it is actually way stronger than what is recorded in the card. The tank also is remarkable for having its engine in the foremost section, which also can act as a sort of armor, because it can absorb most of the shells coming at you at the price of disabling your engine and immobilizing you. However, it allows your crew to survive, and since the engine is kept apart from the fighting compartment by an armored wall, well, it's a bit too much to call it a wall, but it manages to keep if your engine caught fire, it manages to keep it apart from your crew, thus saving at least 3 members of your crew from the fire. However, unfortunately, the driver sits to the left side of the engine, and is the first to suffer from the engine's fire if you get shot in your engine and it causes fire. Your main ornament is 105mm Sharir cannon, which is, as far as I know, is an licensed Israeli copy of L7, a British tank cannon, and it has a penetration of about 340mm with needle shot, and 400mm with heat shot, which is enough to kill most of your enemies, but some can be pretty tough to get, such as T-72, which is only penetrable from the front into the lower front plate. However, since the T-72's fuel tank is in the foremost section of the tank, beyond the front plate, the penetration from the front usually results in the T-72 being set on fire or exploding. The secondary armament is comprised of two 7 and 62 millimeter machine guns and one heavy 150 cal heavy machine gun M2 Browning, which is enough to kill some helicopters. The Browning can also penetrate some light vehicles, like the ones based on armored personnel carriers or some infantry fighting vehicles. However, it must be only used as a secondary armament since your cannon is much more effective at killing such targets. While my Merkava heroically fights off enemies, I will start introducing you to the MD500 Lahatut helicopter. According to Google Translate, Lahatut means trickster in Hebrew, and despite having a Hebrew name, it is actually an American helicopter developed by the United States for export. It is one of the first helicopters to be developed as a specialized anti-tank helicopter, and its main armament consists of 4 anti-tank guided missiles. The first model of a missile available to you on this helicopter is ITOW, improved TOW, and the second one is TOW-2. TOW-2 has a pretty strong warhead worthy of 4 kilograms of TNT, and it is enough to penetrate through 800 millimeters of regular armor, and most of the time it kills enemies on its BR with one shot. The only problem with TOW-2 is its range, which is pretty short, 3,760 meters. It forces you to engage your enemies from relatively short range, which makes your helicopter vulnerable to the enemy fire. sorry for legs. As you can see, one shot is most of the time is enough. However, unfortunately, Lahatut is not very tough, and usually falls apart after a few hits from anti-air cannon. However, for HDR, it's probably the best helicopter. Thank you for watching, and Slava Ukraini!